Mars in the 5th house of the horoscope, the birth chart. Basically, this is our 5th video from Mars in houses, and I'm Lada from astrolada.com, guys. If you want to find out all my services and my webinars and my lectures online, if you want to study with me astrology, check them out at my birth chart at my website, and I'm putting links for those here at astrolada.com. But now let's see how do you find out where Mars stands in your horoscope when you are born. Well, you need to know your time of birth. It is important to know your time of birth, basically to find out your ascendant, because the ascendant is the start of your horoscope. It represents the physical body and your destiny and your path in life. And to know your time of birth, to know your ascendant, you can go to my birth chart calculator. I'm putting a link here. Enter your details, time, place of birth. And if you happen to find Mars, it's indicated in the chart with the letters MA in the 5th square from number 1. Basically, number 1 is the ascendant. So basically, if you start from ascendant, count the first square: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say if you have ascendant in Virgo and Mars happens to fall for you in the 5th sign from Virgo, which is Capricorn, you'll have Mars in the 5th house, which would be Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, you know. Or if Mars happens to be with the 5th house cusp, you can also watch this video. It means if you see the number 5 where in the same square or triangle where Mars is in the chart, it means you have Mars in the 5th house. But I prefer to use whole sign house system. This is the older one, so basically each sign equals one house. I get better results with it rather than the Western unequal house system. But anyway, what happens when you have Mars in the 5th house in your horoscope? Well, what is Mars? It's our energy, where our most enthusiasm goes into. Where we are driven, where we get excited and enthusiastic. And the 5th house is actually a great house to have Mars in. The energies go well hand in hand together, because 5th house is all about having fun, expressing your individuality, expressing yourself creatively, romance, passion, adventure, and Mars does great there. You know, that's one of the best houses for Mars to be, actually, astrologically speaking, because Mars feels at home there. Mars wants to be expansive, to go out, to dare, to take risks, to take actions, and those activities of the 5th house, which are amusements, fun, entertainment, we basically, if you have Mars in the 5th house, you tend to pursue them very actively. So such people often come across as almost daredevils, you know, or they can come across as with this mentality: work hard, play hard, live to the fullest, you know, give it all out. They don't spare their energy, because the 5th house is the house of the sun, where it shines, where your childlike creativity is expressed through, where your childlike creative intelligence and passion for life is expressed, and Mars intensifies that with its fiery energy. So such people can come across almost sometimes even as adrenaline junkies as well. They love to take risks very often, unless Saturn aspects Mars and tones that down. Say Saturn in the 11th house aspects Mars, so Saturn is also in your 5th house, or there is some kind of make square to your Mars to really kind of bottle it up. But usually they will be impulsive, they'll have impulsive nature. How do you express yourself energetically? Impulsively. How do you express yourself as an individual, which is the 5th house? In a Mars way. You go after things, you get excited, you take leadership. They are very natural leaders, those people. Actually, 5th house in astrology rules any center stage positions in which you perform, in which you take leading role, because the 5th house is the house of the sun. The sun is the brightest star. It's the brightest object in our sky, so it shines, you know. So the house of the sun is naturally associated with the 5th house of self-expression. When Mars is there, these people naturally are driven towards and feel impassioned and excited about roles, center stage roles. So often you can see this in people who are in some kind of performances, in some kind of a creative or artistic creative performance activities. In many actors, in many musicians, Mars is in the 5th house, especially such which need which can put prolonged energy on performance on stage, or even traveling artists that are going on tours very often, and they get excited when they're on stage, and they get enlivened when they're on stage. You know, like people like John Bon Jovi, people like, I have a lot of performers here, you know, Pavarotti, John Bon Jovi, I just took a few quickly that I could get, Enrique Iglesias, Lenny Kravitz, Liberace, Jim Morrison, all those performers, when they go on stage, you know, they're flamboyant, they take the stage over, they can put lots of energy and passion and enthusiasm into stage performances, which is the fifth house, being in the center. Fifth house is creativity, being creative, being in the center stage performances. Mars gives so much energy into that, you know, Liberace, you know, Jim Morrison, John Bon Jovi, all those people. So they can tour extensively, they can be in center stage positions, so it's great for such people. Also, fifth house rules any other center stage positions. Politics. It's funny that both artists and actors and politics are ruled by the same house, the fifth house. It's kind of like politicians are actually actors, but it's always been like that since time immemorial. In Vedic astrology and ancient astrology, fifth house rules politics, center stage activities, where you are like a king, where you perform. Public speakers, it's a great position where you have to give dynamic performance, because Mars is such a dynamic, such an not entertaining planet, but puts energy. So it's great for any kind of dynamic performance that requires lots of energy, lots of passion that you put. And people that are public speakers with Mars can be really excitable out there in the public eye, center stage, giving vigorous speeches. Lecturers, for example, they can be very entertaining lecturers. I've seen also people that work with children. Fifth house rules children. They put lots of energy, and they usually quite love children because they would put lots of in their performance, because it's fifth house. You're on the stage when you're a teacher as well, you know, having their Mars putting a lot of energy and passion into their work as well. Actors, theater actors, being on the stage, again, fifth house. You know, I have lots of actors here: James Dean, Pamela Anderson, I have Mel Gibson, I have David Hasselhoff. And you look at like Pamela Anderson and David Hasselhoff from they were both like especially connected to performances that are physical, you know, which is Mars, is sexual, physical, and fifth house is performances, and their performances connected to virility, to sexuality. Mel Gibson as well, he's always the strong sexual male figure as well. James Dean as well. Jack Nicholson as well has Mars in the fifth house. So their roles always come when the center stage, they're vigorous, they're sexualized, they're sexy, you know. Pavarotti, Rod Stewart, I kind of said John Bon Jovi. These were the performing artists, and the others are Cary Grant, another actor. And as I said, lots of politicians: Jimmy Carter, Eisenhower, Charles de Gaulle, all kind of people that are center stage activities through politics. And as I said, they're natural leaders, those people with Mars in the fifth house, because their enthusiasm is ruled by Mars, and their leadership abilities is infections. They put it out there on stage, they don't hide it. Again, unless their Mars is kind of blocked by a difficult planet, they can have problems expressing this passion they have within themselves. And when they're excited about something, they put it out there on the stage, and the enthusiasm is infectious, and others follow them. Even if you're not a politician, an actor, or musician, or touring musician, if you have Mars in the fifth house, people would follow you. People they'll get infectious when you're excited about something. You might be like the heart of the company. You might be larger than life, always inventing new games, parties, or putting lots of energy in organizing parties and entertainment, which is the fifth house. Any kind of amusements. Fifth house is the best house, basically one of the best houses in astrology, because it rules everything we really enjoy and are passionate about. Parties, having fun, entertaining ourselves, our hobbies, anything that excites us. And with Mars there, a person puts lots of energy into that. They can be a great, for example, if you're feeling down, find a person with Mars in the fifth house to bring you up, to take you out, to paint the red the town rat, as they say, together. To, if you want your party to get going and it's kind of all boring, find a person with Mars in the 5th house. They'll be usually the one starting the party, starting with the performance, center stage, entertaining others. Also gives lots of physical energy, this position, especially if Mars is in fire sign. So, you know, because it's even more energized then. But that's why it makes people very competitive on center stage positions, to be number one, to be first. That's why many athletes also have Mars in the 5th house. And even if you're not a professional athlete, maybe you are very much into sports when you were at school. And usually they tend to be very outdoorsy people that want to be out and about, that want to move, that want to express this Mars, because Mars is our energy. If Mars is in the 4th house, in more hidden houses, 2nd, 8th, we don't necessarily, salespeople need to be able to excite others about what they want, to perform it almost on the stage, to get others to follow them, which Mars in the 5th house are great for. So let's see, if you happen to have Mars in the 5th house, or someone that you love and they want to know what to do, what they can be great at, because wherever Mars is, we can put lots of energy without getting exhausted, or, you know, starting over and over and over again, getting excited about it. And it's so important basically to work something, to do something that you're passionate about, that you're excited about, especially for Mars in the 5th house. So what? You can tell them they can be great in politics, in performances, in artistic creativity, in literary pursuits as well, in athletics, in sales as well, in center stage, lecturers, teachers that again take center stage, and others observing them, and they in the center stage performing in some way. Public speaker, anything that requires dynamic, energetic performance. And also gamblers is very often seen in gamblers who take risks, because 5th house is games and fun and speculative investments, anything which is almost a little bit like a game of chance and speculating. And Mars there gives you the courage, because Mars is a courageous planet, to take risks in such things, you know. And whether they win or no, well, with Mars there, usually those people can, you know, they take risks, and sometimes they pay big time, sometimes they lose big time, because Mars is this impulsive planet, so it can, you know, give or take. But often when you take considerable risks, sooner or later it's gonna pay off. So such kind of careers can be quite good for them. And as I already said, kind of, let me just checking, literally creativity, because 5th house is our creative output. So these people can literally put so much energy into some creative hobby, into some passion, for example, or into pursuing some, they can be very prolific creatively as well, because you can put energy there. J.K. Rowling has Mars in the 5th house. She's prolific. She keeps writing books, you know, and putting so much energy into her creativity, and even producing the movies now. Also, we have I'm not sure if I pronounce it correctly, that name, but Isaac Asimov, one of the, he's made more than 500 books, I mean, in one lifetime. Sci-fi writer, again, it's creative, put a lot of energy, untiringly, which is Mars, enthusiastic about creative output there. And he created so many, you know, kind of books. And also we have the Jane Austen. She was very prolific. She wrote a lot as well. Let me see. I have quite a few people that I've written here. We have people that are great at performing in stage as well. Tony Robbins has that, and he can make you excited to follow them. I don't know if you've ever seen a video of Tony Robbins. He has Mars in the 5th house, but when he's on stage, he's on fire. And these are not shy people. The only way they can be shy if something is blocking this Mars in some way, or there is, like, they have Sun or Moon with Saturn or something that makes them that compensates or that detracts from the center stage ability. But they can excite you to follow them. Great leaders, you follow their lead. This is a position that makes politicians, leaders, actors, performance, and all those things. And they just feel in their water, in the element when they're on stage. Look at Lenny Kravitz, you know. And kind of, let's see what else we have here. Oh, they can put lots of energy in pursuit of applause as well. And lots of energy into sports, into center stage roles, into amusement, into entertainment. And fifth house rules also our romantic pursuits. And Mars is where we go after something. So those people will be skirt chasers if they're man. And I can give you lots of examples of how do they call Hollywood heartbreakers, the ones that constantly pursue women all the time. Gerard Butler with Mars in the fifth house. It doesn't mean they'll never settle, but they just get excited. Which Mars is, they get excited about pursuing romantic new adventures. And usually they can even fall in love quite quickly because Mars is this fast planet, but they can fall out of love quickly as well. Next, fast, you know, Mars it's a hunter. Mars is likes the chase, the romantic chase. Giacomo Casanova, oh my God, the biggest lovers. Casanova, you know, has Mars in the fifth house as well, and he's known as the lovers that had so many lovers, like 2,000 women or whatever. Constant passion pursuit, but he was falling in love with them as well. If you read his books, like, he'd not just go only for the sex, he would fall in love, but still, you know, they're passionate about dating, about romance, and they're very natural seductors. They just have this charisma, this center stage, bravado, maybe not exactly bravado, but kind of boyish charm, so to speak, to go after what they want, to be very charming. And even Tony Robbins says that before he married his current wife, who he's very happy with and super in love, he was dating like crazy. He would have 3 or 4 girlfriends at the same time for, you know, in between marriages when he was. So this makes you put lots of energy into pursuing relationship and romance. It doesn't deprive you from having happiness in marriage though. Because, like, look at Tony Robbins, he later on found a woman that he's very passionate for. Now they've been for 10 or 14 years or whatever. But he needs to be, with Mars in the fifth house, you need to be in love with the person and excited romantically about them in order to stay in the relationship. If you no longer feel excited romantically about the person, you move on. You start pursuing someone else, some other target, you know, romantically. And that's why Tony Robbins says, well, relationships are not about you being friends. You need to have this chemistry there. You need to have the sparks. And he says that it's possible to keep it even after 14 years of being together. And so take it from someone with Mars in the fifth house that, yes, you can have lots of relationships or dating or pursue romantically things. Say you like someone with a man with Mars in the fifth house, and you're like, oh, is he always going to be like a Casanova? Is he always going to be like chasing skirt? But you see that if the person falls in love with Mars in the fifth house, they'll put so much energy to maintain the romantic fire. Mars is energy, you know, they'll put lots of energy to maintain romance, to make it exciting, to make adventures for the couple, you know, and that's the way to keep there also the excitability, because Mars is our sex drive as well. When it's in the fifth house, what excites us sexually is if we're romantic with our partner. If our partner makes gestures for us, we make gestures for our partners. If we go have adventures together with our partner, if we go, say, to performances, to have fun, if we have some hobbies we're both passionate about and putting together, or we can feel very turned on and excited about a partner who is center stage performing in some way as well, you know, so this is what can turn our hormones on. But Mars, you know, is definitely very creative. And if you see a Mars in the fifth house person who is like a bit down, depressed, no energy, which is quite rare, as I said, the energetic, enthusiastic people. How do you get a person like that out of the rut and help them, with Mars in the fifth house, help them find their mojo back, help them, and actually finding a mojo back is connected to sexual excitement and feeling sexual, but also to overall, for everyone, to feeling passion for life. So how do you help such a person start feeling passion for life and find their mojo back? Well, you need to take them out having fun. You need to maybe falling in love is something that will make them pursue and get awake again to pursue this martial energy, to awaken in their fifth house romantically. But if this is not an option, then go out, party, go out, take this person to do some sports. Oh, sports is something that's going to invigorate them and help them get out of a drum of depression, of negative state. take them to a place, to a comedy show or something to laugh, or some performance, or invite people to visit them, so they become center stage, so they can talk about themselves, so others would listen to them and watch them and laugh at their jokes or whatever, so they can feel like important in center stage position, and that others are following them or getting excited about what, you know, about them in some way. And this is what's gonna spark their life back, and their, you know, flirting as well, seduction can help them return back their excitability and passion, enthusiasm for life, love affairs, having fun, playing around, hobbies, you know, something that they're passionate, some hobby of theirs that they've forgotten, take them out, help them rediscover it. But those people, in order to feel enthusiastic, they always, and they're usually quite involved with hobbies, with fun, with pursuing romance. They can love entertainment, glitter, fame, the bright lights, you know, artistic performances as well. And yeah, so I think we said almost everything for those people. Oh yeah, fifth house rules children. Let's not forget that. And it can describe, sometimes Mars is a malefic, so one of the negative things in the fifth house it can give, especially if it has difficult aspects, it can give abortions, spontaneous abortions or planned abortions, you know, losing a child, because Mars is a very fiery planet and it rules operations. So even giving birth can happen if you're giving birth to someone through a cesarean, to a child through a cesarean, because Mars rules operations. But naturally, those people who have Mars in the fifth house, women in particular, they have to be careful while they're pregnant. So there are not some problems like abortion that is more likely to happen with this, because of the more violent nature of Mars. On another level, it can decrease the number of children having Mars in the fifth house, because if it's too fiery, you know, and having children, and fertility is more watery. Fertility is watery in energy, and fiery there can just make the person either less fertile, or maybe not. Sometimes they even prefer, instead of putting the energy in raising children, to put energy into creative romantic pursuits, in center stage pursuits of any sorts. But if they're children, usually, especially the first child, tend to be quite energetic and athletic, and the children generally are very martial in nature. Look at Prince Charles, Mars in the fifth house. First, he has two sons, and Mars is a male planet. So maybe such people can have more children that are male in nature, or the first child might be male. But if it's not, it can be quite athletic, like Prince Charles has Prince William and Prince Harry, and they both are in the military, which is Mars. They both love sports, they're outdoorsy, they're both into, you know, horse riding, whatever, stuff like that. And sometimes it can give problems with your children. They can be more rebellious, difficult to control, which is Mars, wanting to do their own thing. They can be like, there might be more arguments with your children. And if your child is becoming like a rebel without a cause, or if it's getting more like, you know, problematic, and you have Mars in the fifth house, it means that you can help your children by enrolling them for some sport. Like can focus their energy, because your child is being described by Mars in your fifth house. So and even if it's you having Mars in the fifth house, going for some sports, you know, can really offset and help with this Mars in the fifth house. But your children in particular, you can put them on the straight if you have Mars in the fifth house, by getting involved with them, physically excited. And you as a parent, how you're bringing up your children, you might be quite vigorous, do sports with them, as for example, performance and entertainment, have fun together, vigorous activities of some sort. So, and the fifth house as a body organ tends to correspond with the heart, and tends to correspond to the backbone as well. So that gives lots of vigor, and as we said, naturally more energy. But those people can drop suddenly out of heart failure, you know, like the ones that are always active and live life to the full and party and have fun, and then suddenly it doesn't indicate you're gonna die young or something, but usually because Mars is a malefic where something can burst suddenly, you know, it's usually more pressure put on the heart area, usually because of their lifestyle as well, and excitability. It's not a bad way to go. You know, I'm not saying everyone Mars in the 5th house will die like that, but usually there might be more pressure here on the heart area in some sort. But it's not, you know, that's not 100%. Yeah, it can be avoided. Astrology is just statistically saying that it's more often, but not everyone has that as well. And let's see. I think we mentioned almost everything for Mars in the 5th house. Yeah, so we mentioned what careers can be good for them. We mentioned everything that the 5th house rules. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Follow me on Facebook, where I announce free readings and someone can win competitions and free courses with me. Or also check out all my webinars and courses online. They're so affordable. They're like $29 or $20 for 6 hours of astrological pure information, which very rare, you know, to find so low price, because I want to be affordable for everyone. So, and everyone to learn astrology and to see how amazing it is. And the best way to test it is by checking out the houses of planets and those videos that I'm making, each house and planet, to see how it corresponds to your life. So thank you so much, guys, and yeah, see you soon. Mars in the 6th house next time.